Okay, first we'll have a quick recap of the previous lecture where we started with the frequency modulation concept. We've seen that frequency modulation as compared to amplitude modulation, there's a difference that the frequency of the carrier signal is varied in accordance to the message signal in case of frequency modulated signal, right? The frequency after modulation, instantaneous frequency after modulation becomes fc plus kf times of mt, where fc is the carrier signal frequency, that is the unmodulated frequency. Kf represents your frequency sensitivity constant. This is your frequency sensitivity constant, and the unit of this constant is hertz per volts, and mt is your message signal. So in accordance to the message signal, the frequency of the carrier signal is varied in case of frequency modulated signal. And then we've derived the general expression of a frequency modulated signal, and that comes out to be, it is AC cos 2 pi fct plus kf into integration of mt dt. And in case of single tone modulation, the expression of frequency modulated signal is your AC cos 2 pi fct plus beta times sine of 2 pi fm of t. These two are very important expressions and will be used very frequently, where beta here is your modulation index. Now depending on the value of beta, the frequency modulated signal can be categorized in two ways. FM signal, depending on the value of beta, can be categorized as narrowband FM and wideband FM. Okay, so if beta is less than equal to 1, it qualifies for narrowband FM, and if beta is greater than 1, it is a wideband FM type of a system. And this beta is nothing but a ratio of delta f divided by fm, where delta f is the frequency deviation and fm is the frequency of the message signal, and this frequency deviation is your kf into am. So beta is equal to kf into am divided by f of m. This is the modulation index for a frequency modulated signal. So in the previous lecture we have discussed narrowband FM signal in detail, and we've also seen the generation of narrowband FM signal. And one interesting conclusion we derived from the previous lecture was that narrowband FM signal is quite similar to your conventional AM signal. The only difference is that one of the sidebands, the lower sideband, is inverted, is having opposite polarity as compared to the conventional AM signal. Otherwise, the structure, the general expression, the spectrum of narrowband FM and conventional AM type of signals are almost similar. Okay, so this was the reason that narrowband FM signal is not of much importance in the practical scenario, because it is similar to conventional AM. So the disadvantages of AM still are along with this narrowband FM type of signal. Now in this lecture we'll discuss about wideband FM type of a signal. Wideband FM, first of all, the type of frequency modulated signal whose modulation index is greater than 1 falls in this category, that is wideband FM signal. before we discuss about the expression of wideband FM and the mathematical analysis, we need to have some basic idea about a special mathematical function, that is Bessel function. Wideband FM type of a signal is represented in the form of this special mathematical function, that is Bessel function. It is mathematically represented as Jnx. N represents the order of the Bessel function, and its mathematical expression is 1 upon 2 pi integration minus pi to pi e raised to power j x sine theta minus n theta d theta, where theta is any dummy variable. So this is the mathematical expression of the Bessel function. Some of the properties of the Bessel function are, first one is this Bessel function Jnx, it decreases as this order n increases. This decreases as n increases. This is the one very important property. So we can say that J0x has the maximum value followed by J1x, and it keeps on decreasing as we increase the order, and so on. This is the first and the very important property of the Bessel function. Second property of the Bessel function says that summation of square of all the coefficients of Bessel function is equal to 1. Summation of square of all the components is equal to 1. This is the second property. And third property is that Bessel function is always a real quantity. Is a real quantity. Okay. So this is what we need to know about Bessel function. Just a brief idea about Bessel function, so that we can correlate whenever we encounter this term in the expressions of wideband FM signals. Now let us try to find out the general expression of the wideband FM signal. Okay, so we know that for a single tone frequency modulated signal, the expression is for this single tone type of a signal, that is AC cos 2 pi fct plus beta times sine of 2 pi fmt. This is the general expression of the frequency modulated signal in particular. So now if we try to analyze this expression from the context or from the perspective of wideband FM signal, let us try to do that. Cos theta is equal to, we know that it is nothing but a real part of e raised to power j theta, simple Euler's identity. So we can say that this expression can be also written as, it can be written as AC into real part of e raised to power j 2 pi fct plus beta times sine of 2 pi fm into t. Alright, and further we can simplify this expression as summation of two complex exponential real part of multiplication of two complex exponential j 2 pi fct into e raised to power j beta sine of 2 pi fm into t. Right. Now this e raised to power this j times beta sine 2 pi fmt is nothing but a continuous periodic signal. It's a continuous periodic signal. So what we'll do is we'll represent it in the form of the Fourier series. We'll find out the Fourier series of this particular component, and we'll substitute that Fourier series here, and we'll find out the expression, and we'll further use the assumption that we are finding the expression for wideband FM where beta is greater than 1. Okay, and if you simplify it further, I'm skipping the intermediate steps because those are not important. The derivation part is not important. The important part is your final expression and its further analysis, how we are going to analyze that expression. So I'm skipping the intermediate step and I'm writing down the final expression straight away. So the expression for wideband FM signal is your AC times summation n ranging from minus infinity to infinity j n beta, which is your Bessel function. This is your order of the Bessel function, and this beta is the argument, and that is nothing but the modulation index of wideband FM into cos of 2 pi fc plus n times fm into t. This is the general expression, standard expression of the wideband signal, wideband frequency modulated signal. Again, you'll have to remember this expression, very important. Now let us analyze this general expression of wideband FM signal. So clearly there is summation, there are infinite number of terms in this expression, right? It is summation of ranging from minus infinity to infinity over n, right? So we can say that it consists of infinite number of terms. If the value of n is 0, for 0th order it will be AC into J0 beta cos of 2 pi fct, right? Plus for the first order, when a value of n is equal to 1, it would be AC times J of 1 beta cos of 2 pi fc plus fm into t, right? Similarly, we can have the terms of the negative order side, right? So for when the value of n is equal to minus 1, the term would be AC into J of minus 1 beta cos of 2 pi fc minus fm into t plus AC J of 2, when value of n is equal to 2, it becomes cos of 2 pi fc plus twice of fm into t, and so on. So there are infinite number of such terms in the wideband FM type of a signal, right? So now if we try to analyze the spectrum of this wideband FM type of a signal, you will see that there are infinite number of components and which are impulses in nature, because because each term, you can see each term in this wideband FM signal is a sinusoidal term. It is a cosine term with some different amplitude, right? With some different amplitude, each term is a cosine term. Cosine term, if you analyze in frequency domain, it is nothing but impulses, right? So if you analyze the spectrum of this wideband FM type of signal, you will see that, let's say this is the origin point. So at fc, this is the term at frequency fc, which is the carrier frequency. The amplitude is AC J0 beta. Okay, so this is the amplitude, that is AC J0 beta divided by 2, right? And for the terms, for the second term, which is having the first order Bessel function, it will also be a impulse, but a shifted impulse, okay, and shift by this fm. So it will be at fc plus fm, and its negative counterpart will be fc minus fm, and this will be the amplitude AC J1 beta by 2. And this amplitude will be lesser than this one, the amplitude at the component at fc, because we have already seen the relationship between this Bessel function, that the value of J0 beta is maximum as compared to the other, and as the number n, the order of Bessel function keeps on increasing, the value of Bessel function keeps on decreasing, right? So as we move away from this FC, or as the order of Bessel function increases, the amplitude or the strength of the components, they keep on decreasing. Okay, and the same trend will be followed in the negative counterpart also. Right, so there will be infinite such components, but the components at carrier frequency and the components nearby the carrier frequency are, you can say, a bit significant, and all the other parts are having very poor strength. So some of the important conclusions that we can derive from these concepts are that wideband FM signal, WBFM signal, consists of a carrier frequency component and infinite number of the sidebands. Consists of a carrier component and infinite numbers of sidebands. Okay, and now since there are infinite number of sidebands, so what about the bandwidth of wideband FM signal? It will also be infinite in nature, right? So the actual bandwidth of wideband FM signal is infinite. Actual bandwidth of wideband FM signal is infinite, which is kind of a impractical scenario. A bandwidth cannot be infinite. Okay, that is not a practical or desirable thing. But the actual bandwidth of wideband FM signal is infinite. Later on we'll have a look at the approximate value of bandwidth, which is more practical in nature and more frequently used. But for as of now, the actual bandwidth of wideband FM is infinite. Next important conclusion that we can derive here is, for wideband FM signal, the lower order sidebands are said to be significant sidebands and higher order sidebands are insignificant. For wideband FM signal, the lower order sidebands are significant sidebands and the higher order sidebands are insignificant. Very important point, and the reason for this is because we know that by the property of this Bessel function, value of Bessel function keeps on decreasing as we go on increasing the value of n, that is the order of the Bessel function, right? So this the J0x will be having the highest value and followed by J1x, and it keeps on decreasing as the value of n increases. So for lower order of the sidebands, like this, for this FC component, the value of n is 0. For this component, the value of n is 1. For this component, the value of n is 2. So obviously, the strength of these components will keep on decreasing as you move away. So the lower, you can say the lower order of sidebands, these are the lower order of sidebands, these are significant, and the higher order are insignificant. That is what we can derive from here. Okay, next thing is power of wideband FM. How do we find out the power of wideband FM? Very simple, as we did previously for all the type of signals. We'll add the power of different components which are present in that signal. Okay, so in this case there are infinite number of sidebands and a carrier component, so total power will be equal to PC, that is the carrier power plus the power of infinite sidebands. U is upper sideband 1 plus power of upper sideband 2 and so on. Similarly, the power of lower sideband 1 plus power of lower sideband 2 and so on. Right? Carrier power, we know PC is equal to AC square J0 square beta divided by 2. And similarly, the power of the upper sideband 1 would be your AC square J1 square beta by 2. Okay, and for power of upper sideband 2 will be equal to AC square J2 square beta by 2. Okay, and similarly the power of lower sideband 1 can be found out as AC square J minus 1 square beta by 2 and so on. Right? So if we add all these powers, power of the carrier and the power of infinite sidebands, the total power will be equal to, we can see that in all the components this AC square by 2 is a common term, right? And we have different square of different order of this Bessel functions. Okay, so this PT would be equal to PT will be now equal to AC square by 2 plus J of minus 2 square beta plus J of minus 1 square beta, J0 square beta, J1 square beta plus J2 square beta and so on. Okay, and we've already seen that the summation of squares of all the components of Bessel function is nothing but equal to 1. So total power PT is equal to AC square by 2, which is nothing but your carrier power. Very important conclusion. The total power of a wideband FM type of a signal is the power of the carrier before modulation. As simple as that. The total power of wideband FM is the power of carrier before modulation, right? Now let's move on to another important concept of wideband FM, that is the practical bandwidth of wideband FM. The actual bandwidth, we know it is infinite, right? But now let us analyze what is the practical bandwidth of wideband FM. Practical bandwidth of wideband FM type of a signal, and this practical bandwidth of wideband FM type of signal is derived using a rule that is known as Carson's rule. Okay, let us have a look at what is this Carson's rule. The actual bandwidth of wideband FM is infinite. This is the actual bandwidth. Okay, so for transmission of the signal, it should be band limited by retaining some of the significant sidebands and eliminating the insignificant sidebands. We already know what are the significant sidebands and what are the insignificant sidebands in the wideband FM type of a signal, but we need to precisely find out till what order of sidebands we are going to consider those sidebands as significant. There should be a threshold that till let's say fourth order of sidebands we consider it to be significant, and beyond that we consider the sidebands to be insignificant. So we need to find out that number, till what number we are going to consider the sidebands, and we are going to eliminate the other sidebands. We are going to ignore the other sidebands. Okay, so just a simple case 1. of when we if in the case when we assume that wideband FM consists of significant sidebands up to only first order, WBFM consists of significant sidebands up to first order only. Okay, this is case 1. So in that case, what would be the spectrum? This is your FC component, and there will be only a single pair of sideband at FC plus FM and FC minus of FM. If we consider sidebands, significant sidebands up to only first order, this will be the spectrum, right? So what will be the corresponding bandwidth? Bandwidth will be equal to twice of FM. Obviously it will range from this to this point, so bandwidth is nothing but twice of FM. Now let us have a look at the case 2, which is, let's say, wideband FM consisting of significant sidebands up to second order. In case 2, we assume that the significance of sidebands is assumed till second order. Okay, in that case, what will be the spectrum? Clearly there will be a carrier component FC and two pairs of sidebands, FC minus FM, FC plus FM, FC plus twice of FM. This will be FC minus twice of FM, this point. Okay, so what would be the bandwidth of this signal? It will be 4 times of FM. If you look at the span of the signal, it is 4 times of FM. Okay, similarly, if we have a look at case 3, where we assume wideband FM having significant sidebands up to third order, up to third order means there will be 3 pairs of sideband now. One will be at FC, then another one. We assume 3 orders of sidebands to be significant, and these range from FC plus 3FM to FC minus 3FM. Okay, and if you have a look at the bandwidth of such a signal, it comes out to be 6 times FM. Or you can say 3 times twice of FM, and this is equal to 2 times twice of FM. Alright, so you can see a general trend here. Okay, that for nth, if we assume up to nth order, the bandwidth would be equal to n times of twice of FM. Right, this is the simple trend. So now comes the Carson's rule, till which order we should consider the sidebands to be significant. Carson's rule says that wideband FMs consist of significant sidebands up to beta plus 1 order. According to Carson's rule, wideband FM consists of significant sidebands up to beta plus 1, up to this order, where beta is the modulation index, right? So what will be the bandwidth? According to Carson's rule, what should be the bandwidth? We know that for nth order, if we consider sidebands up to nth order, the bandwidth is n times twice of FM. According to Carson's rule, it is assumed that the significant sidebands are considered up to beta plus 1 order. So bandwidth will be beta plus 1 times of 2FM. Okay. And yeah, this is one of the expression of bandwidth as per the Carson's rule, or this is the practical bandwidth of a wideband FM type of a signal. We can alternatively represent this expression as, if we substitute beta, what is beta? Beta is your modulation index, that is ratio of frequency deviation by FM, the message signal frequency. So if we substitute beta in this expression and simplify this expression, we can also say that beta is equal to twice of delta F plus F of M. This is the alternate representation of the bandwidth, practical bandwidth of this wideband FM type of a signal. Now let us have a look at one numerical problem based on this concept. Okay, the question is a sinusoidal carrier of 20 volts and 2 megahertz. These are the parameters, that is amplitude and frequency of the carrier signals. A carrier signal is given, is frequency modulated by a sinusoidal message signal of 10 volts and 50 kilohertz. So these are the parameters of the message signal given to us, and kf, that is the frequency sensitivity constant, it is given as 25 kilohertz per volts. Okay, the first part of the question is to find delta f, that is the frequency deviation, modulation index beta, bandwidth and power. And second part of the question is repeat this point A, repeat above if message, repeat above when message signal amplitude is doubled. That means we want to check the effect of the change in the amplitude of message signal over all these parameters. That is the aim, right? So firstly, let us find out these important parameters of the signal. Alright, so we know that carrier signal parameters are this AC, amplitude is 20 volts, carrier frequency is 2 megahertz, and on the other hand the parameters of the message signal AM is equal to 10 volts, FM is equal to 50 kilohertz, KF is 25 kilohertz per volts, KF is 25 kilohertz per volts. Okay, first let us find out beta. Beta is equal to delta F by Fm, that is equal to Kf into Am by Fm. Kf is 25 into Am is 10 divided by Fm. Fm is 50 kilohertz. So it comes out to be 5. So what sort of a frequency modulated signal is this? The value of beta is 5, that is greater than 1. So obviously it is a wideband FM type of a signal. It is a wideband FM type of a signal, right? This identification of type of FM signal is quite essential, because that will allow you to find out the power and the bandwidth of the signal accordingly, right? So now bandwidth, what is the bandwidth of a wideband FM signal? We'll always go for the practical bandwidth that we got using Carson's rule, because that is you can say the practical bandwidth, because the actual bandwidth we know it is infinite. That is not a practical scenario. So bandwidth as per the Carson's rule of a wideband FM type of signal is twice of beta plus 1 into Fm. Okay. So we know all these values here. 2 into beta is your 5, so beta plus 1 becomes 6, into Fm is 50, it comes out to be 600 kilohertz. Alright, total power in case of a wideband signal, total power is equal to your AC square by 2, and it comes out to be 400 by 2, that is 200 watt. Okay, so we've done the first part, we've derived all the important parameters that were asked. Now in the second part, it is said that the amplitude of message is doubled. What will be its effect on these important parameters of wideband FM signal? So in the second part, it is assumed that AM becomes now 20 volts. Instead of 10 volts, it becomes 20 volts. So what are its effect on the different parameters of wideband FM signal? Delta f is equal to kf into am. So obviously if am is doubled, this delta f will also be doubled. Okay, so delta f, new delta f becomes 500k. Instead of 250 it becomes 500k. Second thing, beta is what? Delta f divided by fm, or you can say kf am by fm. So if this am is doubled, beta will also be doubled. So beta earlier was 5, now it becomes 10. Alright, what about bandwidth now? Bandwidth is equal to beta plus 1 times of twice of fm. So now if value of beta is increased, so obviously bandwidth will also be increased. If you find out the bandwidth now with the new value of beta, it comes out to be 1100 kilohertz. Earlier the bandwidth was 600 kilohertz, now it has been increased to 1100 kilohertz. What about the power, transmit power? It is AC square by 2, that remains same, that is 200 watts. So clearly the increase in the amplitude of message signal affects the frequency deviation, modulation index, bandwidth, but the transmitted power remains same even if we increase the amplitude of the message signal. Okay, so that is all for this lecture. We'll discuss few more numerical examples in the coming lecture, and further we'll discuss about the generation techniques of frequency modulated signal and the detection techniques of frequency modulated signal in the coming lectures. Thank you.